Today we're going to talk about a couple of different things. We're going to get into reseller mindset, and then following that, we're going to talk about the worst and best sales that I had in my eBay store last week. If it's your first time here, my name is Brian. I'm a reseller and YouTube content creator. In my eBay store, I sell in the everything category, so you'll get a good picture of that today as we get into the worst and best sales. Stick around for more. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about mindset, and this can be in your reselling business or in your, just home life, anything that you are interacting with on a day-to-day basis. It's something that I really kind of dug into and took a hold of. It's probably been, 10, 15 years ago now, is really choosing to be positive. So it all started for me with a book called The Oz Principle, which was based in personal accountability. And it really is, starting with the question of what could I have done? What should I have done to make the outcome of whatever it is that's going on different? It's not a question a lot of people ask themselves. It's very easy. I'm just going to use reselling as an example to say business stinks because eBay raised fees. Business stinks because USPS raised shipping. Business stinks because there's too many resellers. I mean, there's probably a whole laundry list of stuff. But the fact is at one time there weren't resellers, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. And, business has been growing throughout that time. USPS has continued to raise fees over the years. eBay's raised fees over the years. A lot of the different stuff like that's happened. And I think a lot about, a lot of what happens in somebody's business is the way they decide to tackle that. Now, I say that knowing that I had a really good Q4 and came off of it. January was pretty decent. February was okay. March hasn't been that great for me. But I'm not, waving my fingers around, pointing them anywhere, saying it's all these other people's problem. It's causing me to look, each week more intently at my own business and try to figure out what can I do. I can't control eBay. I can't control USPS. I can't control other resellers. There's so many things that are out of my control except for what I do within these walls right here. So I think it's important if you are a reseller. If you're not, it's also, it could be at your place of work, it could be at your house, it could be anywhere. But, I think an important question to ask whenever anything happens that you think is bothering you is what could I, or what could you have done to, get a different outcome in that situation. It's good chances are that something like that's going to happen again, and, you might be better prepared for it that way. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. I'm telling you what works for me. A lot of that, like I said, started with that book, The Oz Principle. I'm not a huge reader. I don't like to read a lot. I do listen to audiobooks. And so, I did read that book, but I also have listened to it on audiobook. But there's some other books. One about self-talk, about talking. This is going to sound weird. And it does until I really listened to it and kind of understood the principles behind self-talk and talking to yourself in a more positive manner and not beating yourself up as much. But, there's a book called What to Say When You're Talking to Yourself. There's another great book, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. If you're not familiar with David Goggins, you got to check the guy out. You've probably seen him on Instagram. He's the guy that's running all the time, ex-Navy SEAL. It's just, he's got a book called Can't Hurt Me, and it is just, boy, if you want to feel like you're not doing enough in life, listen to that book. Golly, it's pretty good. He's got another book called Never Finished. It's mostly a rehash of the first book with a little bit extra stuff in it, but and then Extreme Accountability. That's another book, or Extreme Ownership. Extreme Ownership. That's from Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, who are also ex-Navy SEALs. Similar vein, not exactly the same as Can't Hurt Me, but Really good books. And then from a more, I'd say, maybe pop culture or Instagram culture, even reseller culture a little bit, is listening to Gary Vaynerchuk. I sometimes I take for granted that people know who I'm talking about, because I've mentioned to people, oh yeah, you heard what Gary V has to say lately, and people are like, who the heck is that? But incredible story, growing up in his dad's wine business and really turning it into something for him, handing it over, and then starting his own business, and with his ultimate goal to buy the New York Jets. And man, I hope he gets to do it someday. But yeah, just the way he talks about. He still does reselling. Like, he will literally, this guy's a multi-millionaire, will go out to garage sales with his buddies and look for stuff to go sell online. It's crazy. But very, very interesting guy for sure. And so those are all things that I draw on personally whenever things don't seem to be going the right way, and I need to just kind of recenter myself and take a look around at what I need to do. So that's kind of it. I don't know if that's a pep talk, or I'm just trying to talk about, what I do for myself. Just wanted to pass that along, share that. Okay. Feel free to comment down below if you think I'm going down a weird path there, but we can get into sales now. Talk about last week's sales. They were better than the week before. I had more sales and higher dollars, so I'm really glad to see that. And this week has started off pretty strong. So far had some good sales. So I'm looking forward to next week's version of this video. But last week, so had 18 items sold. That's up from 13 items. Not a lot, but it's up. Had total sales of $552.50. After all the shipping and the fees, promotion fees, cost of goods, everything taken out, that was a pre-tax profit of $233.99, or a 42% profit margin. So the profit margin is getting up there where it needs to be. I really am shooting for 50% plus, 50% or more. 42% is going in the right direction, that's for sure. Number one source of sales was garage sales. There was one item in there that really helped it that we'll talk about. And then, let's see, 14 of the 18 items sold were promoted. So those were promoted listings, probably 2 to 3% promotion on those. And then sales on an offer, there were 11 items. 61% of the items sold were sold on an offer. I did not run last weekend a store sale or coupon intentionally to see what the difference would be like if I didn't do it. Were sales just going to plummet? Or are they going to continue to kind of rise back up? And they're rising back up. So I am going to get back into that. I just didn't do it last weekend just to see what would happen. So 11 of the 18 items were sold on an offer. So somebody emailed me, sent me an offer through text or through messaging on eBay, or I sent an offer out to prospective buyers. And then with those, 10 of the items sold were double dips. So 10 of them were sold on a promoted listing and sold on an offer, which is fine. So let's look at the 5 worst sales from last week. Good news, I didn't lose money on anything this past week. There's one that's not awesome, but I didn't lose any money. So I'm excited to see that. Yeah, let's take a look at them. So coming in at the 5th worst sale of the week, and I say worst, let me clarify that. These are the lowest profit sales for the week. Some of these, like this first one, the profit's it's not a lot of profit because it's a low value item, but the profit margin's okay. It's 44%. But so the 5th worst is this Beer Hunter baseball cap, camo cap. I picked up a big lot of caps at a Love's Country Store, which is like the gas station, truck stop type place. And they had a bunch in clearance, and bought them all after tax for 95 cents a piece. And I listed everything up for $9.89. So this is the 3rd one of these I've sold. I had 4 of them. So in that context, I don't mind it as much because I took one set of pictures. I had 4 items to sell off that one set of pictures. So yeah, picked it up for 95 cents, sold it for $9.89 plus shipping for a $7.05 pre-tax profit or a 44% profit margin. There's a lot of things I could do worse than that right there. And there's 4 more of them right here. Right here, we'll get to those. The 4th worst sale of the week is this Hawaii. It's a souvenir mug. It's a really cool mug. My wife and I talked about keeping it. We went to Hawaii a handful of years ago, and I was like, we didn't buy this mug there. Other than it's kind of cool. It would collect dust on our shelf. So, picked this up in a big lot of souvenir mugs at an estate sale a few months ago for 20 cents a piece. Picked it up for 20 cents, sold it for $6.93 plus shipping on an offer for a $5.12 pre-tax profit or a 38% profit margin. I've got, I don't know, probably 18, 20 more mugs down here, souvenir mugs, that I'm going to be selling through. So there'll be more of those $7 to $8 mugs, with $5 or $6 profit attached to them until I sell out of them. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it may take a while. Let's see here. All right, and then another mug. So 3rd worst sale of the week are this set of mugs. This is 5 mugs I bought at a big thrift store in, I don't remember if it was Iowa or Kansas, or I don't remember where this was. I bought these mugs. I paid $15. I paid too much for them. I thought I saw higher comps. I was probably looking at listeds, not solds, whenever I saw it. Ended up selling for $22.88 plus shipping for a $4.63 pre-tax profit or a 13% profit margin. And I've had those listed for probably about 8 months. So I'm just glad to see them go out the door. And I thought it was going to be a pain to pack them. It really wasn't that bad. So they're already, I think they've already gotten to where they're going. Sorry about that. It's allergy season here in Oklahoma right now as we get into springtime. And last week we had just a massive dust storm. It was 50 mile an hour, 60 mile an hour winds and just red dirt flying all over. It was an orange sky for an entire day solid. It was insane last week. So that was last Friday. It's crazy. So anyhow, get back to the worst sales. 2nd worst sale of the week are these Guess pants, jeans. Women's jeans. Picked these up, had them in inventory for quite a while. Picked them up for $4 and took an offer on them for $10 plus shipping for a $3.35 pre-tax profit or a 19% profit margin. I'm glad to see those go too. I've got some clothing that's just been hanging around way too long. Yeah. And then the worst sale of the week, which just happened this past Sunday evening, is this little Southwestern Bell keychain, telephone keychain. I didn't know people collected these things. I had 2 of them. I sold the other one already. I think it was a pink one. But I got a whole big shoebox full of stuff at an estate sale, and I put down 10 cents for the cost. I don't even know if I have 10 cents in it. There were so many things in this box that I sold off already. It was just insane the amount of profit in this shoebox full of stuff. But I think I had it listed for like $4.50 or something. I took an offer of $2 and made a 56-cent profit or a 9% profit margin. I actually thought I'd already taken it out of inventory. I must have just skipped it whenever I was checking the boxes to delist items. I must have missed that item somehow. I don't know if it was the last item on a page or something, but I missed it. So yeah, nothing like, earth shattering there, but I guess I'm glad that I ended up making 56 cents on that keychain and I didn't dip down into the negatives there. They paid $2, but they ended up spending like close to $5 for shipping on it plus tax. So all in, they're probably in $8 or $9 for that keychain. So I must have really wanted that little plastic phone keychain. All right, now we get to get into the good stuff. So we're gonna see a little bit higher dollar sales here. We're gonna see better profit margins and just see a decent variety of items. So this is gonna give people a really good picture. Well, those things did too. this is going to give you a good picture of what an everything seller sells. It's pretty interesting. So coming in at number 5, the 5th best sale of the week is this Starbucks tumbler tote. I just thought it was a gift bag when I bought it at a garage sale, but it's actually, so this was a 2022, I think, Taiwan exclusive, and it was part of a whole kit of stuff. But they had these totes. You'd actually like open it, and it was meant to hold your tumbler. So you take your reusable tumbler, get your drink, whatever, and you put it in there and carry this tote around with your tumbler in there. So I actually stole a stock photo of that item with the tumbler in it for the picture to showcase what it did. That can be risky sometimes, stealing stock photos, but I stole the photo. I'll say borrowed the photo, and then took pictures of the product. Had it listed for probably coming up on 6 months. I thought it was going to do better than it did because it was a camo, which was kind of cool. It was a Taiwan exclusive, which I thought was unique, and it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. I think I originally started at maybe around $50 on the listing price for it, because it was so unique. I didn't see any sold, listed, nothing. But kept dropping the price a little bit at a time and got it down. I think I had it around 29 or 25 or something. Somebody sent me an offer for $22. I took it. So $5 into 22 was a $15.13 pre-tax profit, or a 52% profit margin. Glad to see that go out the door. I hope they have lots of fun carrying their Starbucks drink around in their little tote. All right. The 4th best sale of the week. This is a Foundations workbook. So this is a Dave Ramsey, the financial, guru. No debt, snowball your debt, all that kind of stuff. Somebody I started listening to a long time ago. And anyhow, I found this book at a garage sale, garage sale or estate sale, I don't remember. I just remember I paid $1 for it. But it is the high school edition, but it's the teacher's version. So it's got a CD-ROM inside, has like all the answer keys to the student version of the book. But yeah, it's a workbook talking about personal finance. So I saw different versions of this listed, but I did find the exact one on Sold Comps. So picked it up for $1, sold it for $23.91 on an offer. And yeah, that was $17.82 pre-tax profit, or a 57% profit margin. I think the shipping is kind of what digs into it a little bit there, but yeah, I feel like on that one, you'll see it up here, but I think I paid like maybe an extra $1 or so in the shipping. But in that one, I actually forgot. I don't know why. When I was listing it, I listed it Ground Advantage. I didn't ship it media mail. I don't know why I did that. Probably would have saved a few bucks for both of us if I would have shipped it media mail. All right. Then let's look at the 3rd best sale of the week. Is this Dymo labeler. This is a Dymo Slimline. This is probably a 70s or 80s version. I thought about keeping it. My wife thought it was pretty cool, but then I started thinking about how many things do I actually need to put Dymo labels on? Not really anything. So I don't really have, I can't remember the last time I actually wanted to use a labeler, so I just put it up for sale. I picked it up at an estate sale for $2. Had a bunch of pieces, a couple rolls of tape. I did, use the letter wheel, and I typed up the word tested and cut it off and put it in the picture with it, just so they knew it actually worked. But picked it up for $2, sold it for $25.89 plus shipping, for a $19.17 pre-tax profit, or a 58% profit margin. It's a cool piece. I like that one. 2nd best sale. So wouldn't be a best sale week if we didn't have some kind of pots or pans or something in there. But this is the 2nd one of these I've sold. It is a Revere ware buffet service casserole dish. I picked this one up at Goodwill for $5.40. I thought it was Revereware, and then I finally figured out where the maker's mark were where the maker's marks were. They were under the handles, just to confirm. When I was in the store, in the Goodwill, I was like, I think this is the one I sold. And I went back and I found my sold listing, and I'm looking at the pictures. I'm like, that's it. And I was like, or is it? The one I sold before, I got it from an estate sale. It had the pamphlet inside, the Revere pamphlet inside of it. So I knew that's what it was. But this one, I found the maker's marks, which made it, easy. Listed it up for $49.89 plus shipping, and made a $45.57 pre-tax profit, or a 63% profit margin. This is an interesting piece. So when I sold my first one, this was, I think it was after Thanksgiving, before Christmas, right in that time frame. I saw one that had sold for about $100 and one that had sold for $75, and there were none listed. So I listed mine for $100, and I kept not getting very little action. I think I dropped the price to maybe $75 then, and I was kind of surprised I wasn't getting much action at all. And then somebody, I don't remember if I sent an offer or they sent an offer, and I ended up selling it for like $51 and something. I paid $5 for that one too, $5.40. Same, I paid the same for both. So ended up selling for $51 and change. So I go back and I look at the recent ones that have sold in the past few months of this same version, and it's been a little bit all over the board. So they were in the same shape, really pretty, polished up, no dents, no damage, no nothing. And the last one that sold was for, somebody sold one for like $41, somebody sold one for like $27, but there were none listed. I was like, I sold the last one at $40 or $51, so I priced this one at $49.89. I was like, I'm going to start off just a little bit under where I sold the other one, but above the last sold comps, because I thought they were underselling it a little bit. And it sold in like 12 hours. So I probably could have asked more. I don't know. Or it could have just been that everything conspired perfectly so that I listed it at the same exact time somebody was looking for it and they were fine with the price. Yeah, it was a really good sale. And it was nice because I actually made some money on the shipping too. I had the weight and the size of box was a little higher than what it actually needed. I just copied it off the last listing. So I just did a sell similar on mine. So I ended up making some money on the shipping too, which is what really kind of boosted that profit margin. Yeah, that's how you can sell it for $49.89 and make $45.57 after fees and all that stuff. So it was a good sale. Really, I hope I can find more of those, but keep an eye out for those. It's not obvious. Like, you don't see the mark right on the bottom. Revere has that big mark right on the bottom, and that doesn't have that. It's underneath the handles, and it's a light stamp. So it's not, if you just kind of glance, you might miss it. But you can look for those. And they come in lots of different configurations, sizes, and stuff. So just keep an eye out for those. All right. And then down to number one, which I've only sold one other item like this before, sold for decent money. And when I saw this one, I was like, you know what? I bet this is going to be worth it. And it was this Back to Life massager. This is a back pain relief massager. It's adjustable height, and you can be sitting or laying down, and then put your feet out and you rest them on their legs or feet, and you rest them in those two spots. And then when you turn it on, it just kind of like moves a little bit to keep circulation going, to just relieve back pain. Thankfully, that's not something I've ever needed, so I've never seen it in action personally. But yeah, I picked it up for $5 at a garage sale, and sold it for $74.89 plus shipping. And it was local shipping, so they were in Wilton something, Oklahoma, a couple hours away from me. And when I listed mine, I noticed that everybody was selling for $75 plus shipping. So that's where I came in. And I'm guessing they bought mine because I'm 2 hours away from them. My shipping was the cheapest if all other things are equal. So they bought it from me. So pulled in a $54.29 pre-tax profit, or a 53% profit margin. And super easy to ship. Doesn't take just tons and tons of padding. Is pretty sturdy. And yeah, I hope whoever got it finds their relief to their back pain. That's for sure. That's not something. I have had back pain from my gutter cleaning incident. And I spent about 12 weeks going to a chiropractor. Just that was not fun. But anyhow, it worked though. That's for sure. And that's it for the sales this week. I hope you maybe got a kick out of some of those items. If you have any comments or questions, do leave those down below and I'll get back to you. We'll be back next week with another video talking about this week's best sales. And until then, have a great day.